Hello, fellow members of the Midnight Society. Welcome back to another episode review from the show Are You Afraid of the Dark? Last time, we covered the tale of the Sorcerer's Apprentice, a story about an ancient evil wizard trying to come back to life by corrupting teens. Tonight, my favorite storyteller, Betty Ann, is up again, this time with a story about possible vampires moving into the suburbs. Full disclosure, I got this episode mixed up with the episode that aired after it, so I'm covering them out of order. On the American release, The Tale of the Sorcerer's Apprentice actually aired after this one. Submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society, I call this Season 1, Episode 8, The Tale of the Nightly Neighbors. We open on the Midnight Society, where everyone is waxing philosophical about why we tell scary stories at night. When Betty Ann reveals that she's telling the night story, Eric gets all whiny, claiming that she always tells the same kinds of stories.
It's kind of gross, but everyone always lives happily ever after. Boring.
What are you talking about? I get that the group exists outside of these individual episodes in the world they've created, but we as the viewing audience have only seen one Betty Ann story so far, and it was the tale of Laughing in the Dark. Now, her blatant disregard for chocolate pudding was gross. I'll give him that much. Okay, but, the ending was far from everyone lives happily ever after. If you're gonna trash talk, Eric, get your facts straight. At least Frank earned some big points with me with his response to Eric's attitude.
So what's your problem? You're kind of gross and boring too.
Betty Ann then proceeds to deliver the most creepy intro to a tale that we've heard on the show. Like, seriously, she might own a murder basement. She also gets in a dig at Eric before her tale begins, and well, you know how I feel about that. Her tale begins with one of our two main characters, Day-Day. What? What? Okay, this has come up on many a past episode, and I feel like we need to start taking it seriously. Canada, bring it in. I'm gonna look this name up right now, and if Day-Day isn't a nickname for David, we're gonna have an international incident. Day-Day. It's the character's name, by the way, not a nickname. Spelled Day. D-A-Y, D-A-Y. No hyphen. What the kind of a name is Day-Day? Actually, come to think of it, Betty Ann's previous story is the one that featured Ouija. What? You're breaking my heart with these names, Betty Ann.
What's the matter?
Anyway, I just refuse to call him Day-Day. The boy is nervously watching Night of the Living Dead when his sister Emma... Okay, so the girls get the normal names. Right, okay. Emma scares her younger brother, causing him to dump half a bowl of popcorn on the ground. Betty Ann, what do you have against my favorite snacks? First you attack pudding, and now popcorn. Is nothing sacred? Like, did I scorn you in some way? Is it about the names? Because I'll take back everything I said if you just leave my snacks alone, please.
We don't negotiate with terrorists.
Emma berates her brother for watching too much television, and when he sasses back, this happens. A whole bowl? A whole bowl? I can't even with you right now. A whole f***ing bowl. Emma continues to insult her brother, calling him a zero and stating that he'll always be a zero. Wow. Emma has all the charm of Beth from The Tale of the Lonely Ghost.
If you touch our contaminated, wrinkly old hand, I'll never let you touch my things again!
After Emma finishes verbalizing her superiority complex, she looks out the window to see new neighbors moving in across the street. The boy remarks that it's odd they're moving in at night before joining his sister at the window with the bowl still on his head. Seriously, who am I supposed to be rooting for here?
They're both screwed.
Emma and her brother speculate why their new neighbors are dressed in all black when this happens.
Whoa!
Okay. Look, I'm an adult human, and even I found that unsettling. The boy agrees with me, and he states that he intends to avoid the new neighbors altogether. Wow. An intelligent decision right out the gate? Maybe there's hope for him yet. A couple days later, the kids talk to a delivery man dropping off two very large crates at the neighbor's house. They learn that their neighbor's last name is Braun, and that they're from the Ukraine. The loose-lip delivery guy also reveals that the crates have refrigerators in them, and that he has instructions to leave them in the driveway if no one's home. I hope the people that drop off my packages aren't so chatty. Hey there! Hey! You know this guy? Nah. Well, he must have needed this insulin pretty badly if he ordered a next-day delivery. You know, you can make some serious coin selling this stuff on the streets to people who need it. Anyway, so you're just going to leave it there? Yep, that's what the order says. Nobody home, just leave it on the doorstep. I'm sure it'll be fine. Yeah! Emma finds it odd that the Brauns' car is there, yet they didn't answer the door. On their way back across the street, she speculates that maybe the neighbors are KGB agents or gypsies or, some other Russian stereotype. Kids. Anyway, they see their mom running out of the house in a hurry to get to work. She backs into the mailman, and, well, then we see where Emma gets her award-winning personality from.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm late. Bye.
The kids apologize for their jerk of a mother and help the mailman pick up his mail. The boy notices a bandage on the mailman's neck and asks if he's okay. The mailman claims that he's just come down with a touch of something and has no energy. Yeah, that makes sense. Hey, what's with the what's with the bandage? What? No, nothing. It's nothing. It's the flu. Shut up. Emma asks if the mailman has met the new neighbors, and he says that they actually stopped by one night to get acquainted, and it was the same night that he started feeling ill. Okay. Time out. Look, new folks show up from the Ukraine, and you get sick right after they meet you? I saw Outbreak, all right? You contact the CDC or the Public Health Agency of Canada, and you have their house searched for a Ukrainian monkey. Possibly undead. We fade to Betty Ann explaining that Emma started keeping an eye on the Brauns every chance she got. She notices that they don't talk to anyone and are only seen out at night. The neighbor's pasty son Lex surprises Emma while she's taking out the garbage. He asks her if he can come in and play, and we learn something very important about him. Either Lex is not actually from the Ukraine, or the actor just couldn't do a Ukrainian accent.
Can I come in and play?
Emma tells Lex that it's kinda late, and he replies, maybe another time, before walking away. We get some more voiceover exposition from Betty Ann about Lex not ever starting school, nor anyone even hearing about him. She also states that the disease that hit the mailman is now spreading through the neighborhood like crazy.
And it started the same night the Brauns moved in. Things seemed very strange indeed.
No. What's strange is a neighborhood of adults acting like morons. All of these people have bandages on their necks and are now ill. Let's just say, for argument's sake, right, that a vampire bit you, sucked your blood, didn't kill you, and then made you forget the whole incident. Well, it might take a day or two, but your blood cells would regenerate and you would start to feel better. And if you didn't, I don't know, a doctor might have a question or two about 2 giant puncture marks on your neck. One night while Emma's asleep, her window flies open, and with 20 fog machines working overtime, Mr. Braun enters her room and is about to bite her on the neck when she wakes up. Now armed with the scientific evidence of a dream, she's convinced that her neighbors are vampires and rushes into her brother's room to tell him about it. The boy doesn't want to wake up, so Emma pulls out a megaphone from what looks like the foot of his bed to encourage him. Okay, weird, but I'll let it slide. To convince her brother, Emma points to where the Brauns are from on a wall-sized map of the world on his wall. Okay, I can't let this one go. Why is this not in her room? Right? The boy thought Ukraine was near Disney World earlier in the episode, whereas Emma can name all the surrounding countries with no thought. The boy would have never asked for this on his wall, and if it was like a parental choice to help him learn, well, newsflash, it's not working. Emma states her case and says that there's only one explanation.
Our neighbors are vampires.
Well, based on your lack of evidence, Emma, I'd say there are plenty of other explanations before jumping straight to vampires. The boy ends up basically stating my exact thoughts, but Emma plans to break into her neighbor's house and find their coffins to prove it anyway. Part of me hopes that this episode ends with her staking her neighbors in the hearts, and they were just normal people, and then she goes to jail for the rest of her life. It's admittedly a little dark for a kid's show. Back at the Midnight Society, the gang pass around a thermos while pouring cups of cranberry juice? While speculating if the neighbors in the story are vampires or not. Then, Kiki, being the classy dame that she is, does this.
Yeah, like blood was being sucked from their necks. I love it.
Kiki, don't be the female Eric. Back in the story, Emma has stapled garlic all around her room. She also tells her brother that vampires can only come in if invited, so don't invite them in. The boy still thinks that she's crazy, but he agrees to do what she says. The neighbors leave their house, and Emma then easily sneaks into their basement through an unlocked ground-level window. Now, while Emma conducts the slowest search in the history of searches that probably should be done with urgency, the doorbell rings back at her house. Her house. Her brother opens the door to see the Brauns. They ask to come in, and, well, he almost lets them before remembering the rules. He then tells them that his dad isn't home and that they should probably come back another time, but of course, his mother comes to the door and lets them in. Lady, you don't find it weird that your goth neighbors are popping by to introduce themselves after dark? Supernatural or not, that's just begging for a home invasion story.
Who is it?
Pizza Man.
Back across the street, Emma comes to a door and, well, she touches it like she's never seen a door before. The door's locked with a combination lock, and then she gets startled by a rat before moving on again very casually. You know, like she's not in the basement of someone who she thinks is a vampire. Back at her house, Emma's mother apologizes to the neighbors that her husband isn't home. Another actor wasn't in the budget, so she says he works nights. The Brauns say that they've also been working nights, riding along with ambulances to learn medical techniques they can take back to Ukraine. After what feels like 3 hours of her searching, Emma finds one of the refrigerators and feels foolish that it isn't a coffin. But then she sees it's locked and states,
If I can crack him at school, I can crack him here.
Whoa, what do you mean if you can crack them at school? How many lockers do you break into on a daily basis, Emma? The Brauns head home, and the boy somehow gets to their house before them to warn Emma. They find bottles of blood in the refrigerator before rushing out of the basement via the window, and Emma is now convinced that her neighbors are vampires and that they are their next victims. Her solution? Murder the neighbors. I mean, I guess it'll be good for the insanity plea at her trial. You see, Your Honor, everyone in the neighborhood was getting sick, and they only came out at night, and I found bottles of blood in their basement, which would beg the question that if they actually drank blood and had so much of it, why they would need to bite anyone. But anyway, I just knew they were vampires, so I forced my brother to break into their home with me and drive wooden stakes to their hearts. You murdered those people. Because they were vampires, you're welcome. The next day, Emma gives her brother a cross necklace and wooden stakes. The boy tries to back out of it, but Emma convinces him with the power of peer pressure.
Do it!
They break back into the Brauns' basement, and Emma thinks their coffins are behind the locked door she discovered the night before. She tries cracking the combination on the lock and gets it just as someone opens the upstairs door. Emma and the boy hide under a table. Someone comes downstairs and, well, you tell me if you can see what's wrong with this picture. Okay. That person is either toying with them or they're the vampire Stevie Wonder, because there is no way they didn't see Emma, who isn't even really under the table. Anyway, a horn is heard outside, leading the nearsighted goth back upstairs. Emma and the boy decide to get out, but upon stepping outside, they see Mr. and Mrs. Braun in the sunlight and, well, no, they don't sparkle. The Brauns are bringing blood inside that they say they've been storing for the hospital because the hospital has a surplus. Mrs. Braun then says that Lex hasn't been feeling well and asks the boy if Lex can come over and play video games with him tonight. The boy accepts, and then Mr. Braun says this before they go inside.
Ciao.
Ciao. Aren't you supposed to be from Ukraine? Right. Scusi. Bonjour. Nope. Sayonara. Still wrong. See you later, alligator. Seriously? Okay, listen here, you little f***. The boy starts laughing at his sister for being so completely wrong. He says he'll never let her forget it, and he starts calling her a loser. Oh, the bonds of family, am I right? We cut to the basement, where the Brauns reveal they know the kids were snooping around inside. Mr. Braun says it doesn't matter because tonight is the night. They open the metal door, and Mrs. Braun says,
Wake up, Master. The sun is gone.
Are you trying to kill him? Because the sun is still very much up and can be seen pouring in through the windows. Anyway, the coffin opens, revealing that the actual vampire is Lex. He reveals his fangs, proving that he is the least intimidating vampire ever. And that's including these winners. Every member of the Midnight Society looks on in stunned silence as Betty Ann finishes her story. Gary closes the meeting, and everyone pours their cranberry juice on the fire. People at Ocean Spray are going to be pissed. Now for the review. This episode was a mixed bag for me. While I enjoyed the borrowed elements from things like Fright Night and The Lost Boys, I had a hard time getting into the story because I didn't care for the leads. Emma's aggressive know-it-all attitude and her brother's whiny apathy just really put me off.
Yeah, I'll try and remember that.
The episode also felt really hindered by the budget, which is weird because nothing really happens. Like, our sets were the interior of a house, a basement, and the outside of a house. There were no real special effects to speak of, and you just slap some white foundation on your Ukrainians to pale them up, so what gives?
It's absolutely fascinating work, although sometimes a bit, bloody.
The jump scares were ineffective, the music was forgettable, but the one redeeming thing this episode had was the twist ending. Knowing that everyone was doomed to be a vampire snack after the fact was a nice touch. Unfortunately, not enough to save the rest of it. Younger me wouldn't have found this tale scary, and if I'm being honest, I made a much scarier vampire than Lex after I visited the Ukraine in high school. The acting in this episode was okay. Emma and Day Day were believable as siblings who can't stand each other, and they played off of each other well and showed a decent amount of fear when necessary. The same cannot be said, however, for Lex. Not that he had much time on screen, and I get what they were going for, in that no one would suspect a small child of being a vampire, but the actor playing Lex just seemed like he had no idea what was going on. Like, he delivered lines like he was being fed them from a stage mom off camera. I don't know, me personally, I think a slightly older actor could have given the role a bit more bite. Sorry. The adult actors in the episode were pretty good. Emma and Day Day's mom only had a couple of quick scenes and delivered her lines fine, but the Brauns, they were great. Their Ukrainian accent wasn't stellar, but it was passable for a kids show. And you could tell that they had fun playing up the theatricality of, common stereotypical vampire mannerisms, which just made the reveal at the end so much more satisfying. Betty Ann, while I loved your two previous stories, The Tale of the Nightly Neighbors doesn't quite meet the approval of the Midnight Society. But you are still my favorite storyteller this season so far.
Ooh, a cliffhanger. I love it.
What did you all think of Betty Ann's story? Did you see it as a kid? What were your favorite tales from the series? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to check out the next episode about the tale of Jake and the Leprechaun. Until next time, are you afraid of the dark?
Ciao.
Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and a share. Be sure to subscribe and click that bell icon to be notified when more Midnight Society episodes go up. And we've got a ton of other cool shows on the channel, so stick around. You might find something else that you like.